Hi everyone, welcome back to AFTV. We've got another video for you as we get closer and closer to that transfer deadline day. A deadline day that, as things stand, looks like it could be a really busy one for Arsenal, because we know that they're still hunting for a striker. We talked about that in the video, the 5 alternatives. Now Vlahovic is on his way to Juventus. And we've got another one here, 5 options, 5 midfield options, now that the Arthur deal, or Arthur, forgive my pronunciation, and the Guimaraes deal, again, am I pronouncing that right? Guimaraes? You let me know in the comment section. Now that those 2 deals look like they're off the cards for Arsenal. Really disappointing. 2 midfielders I did want to Arsenal, 2 midfielders I was excited about when linked. We know that the deal with the Arthur deal was that essentially Juventus wanted an 18-month deal with a buy option. Arsenal wanted a straight loan deal for 6 months to the end of the season. And they weren't willing to commit beyond the summer to Arthur. Now with Bruno Guimaraes, it looks like he's off to Newcastle. Newcastle, I think, have come in with, I've seen various reports, 30 million, 33 million, 50 million, it's all a bit all over the place. But what we know is that Newcastle are not short of cash and they want their man. It looks like they're going to get their man. So Arsenal fans have been really frustrated seeing these potentially really good midfield options slip away. So what are we left with? That's the big question. There are a few links and a few other players that we think maybe aren't being linked enough that we need to discuss. Here are 5 midfield options that Arsenal should look at. But as we did in the other video discussing Vlahovic and the other options, and by the way, before I go into this, I just want to say a big thank you for all the support on that video. Read your comments, read through what you guys were saying. A lot of you enjoyed it, so thank you so much. And thanks for the suggestions as well. Some other suggestions getting in there, people mentioning Victor Osimhen, who we've been linked with recently as well. So yeah, big thank you, and look forward to discussing these midfield options and perhaps others in the comment section of this video. Let's get into it. As we did in the video discussing our strikers, I think it's really important we understand what the role is for midfielders playing in this Arteta system, because he's tweaked it a few times. Arteta, since being at the club. 2 years at the club, we've seen midfielders having to adopt different roles, predominantly in a 4-2-3-1 formation, typically a double pivot. We're looking for a player who can fill into one of those 2, let's say, defensive midfield roles. But as we're about to break down, it's not quite as simple as that. So let's have a little look at what Arteta's done. I've gone for a 4-2-3-1 here, with rough idea of kind of where the players are playing in that kind of system. Now we've seen quite a few different things. We've seen a right back who bombs forward with the centre back splitting, and then our centre midfielder in Granit Xhaka has dropped in to form part of the back 3. That allows Kieran Tierney to bomb on, and then Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka to kind of play a bit more central, a bit closer. But what we've seen more recently, and where he's moved it and shifted it slightly, Arteta, is the midfield. If we just bring the centre-backs back, Gabriel tends to come across the left centre-back. White plays a bit more centrally. Tomiyasu forms part of the build-up, or an inverted sort of full-back role there. Bukayo Saka holds the width. Tierney gets forward with Martinelli. Together they hold the width. And then it's kind of between Partey, Xhaka and Odegaard. And what we've been seeing is Odegaard drift wide, as we mentioned in the other video the other day. Granit Xhaka getting forward a little bit more, and Partey forming the base of midfield, and we'll give him the ball there. Typically, Arteta wants everything to play through Thomas Partey. He's the anchor man. He's the guy who sets the tempo, picks up the ball. You saw, and this isn't a dig at Lokonga, because he's a young player and he's a very talented player. I think he's going to have a really good future at Arsenal. But Lokonga, you can see he struggled to get the ball off White and Gabriel against Burnley. There's an understanding. You see the very best in the world. Busquets, Georginio. I don't know if Partey's at that level. I like to think he is. He has an ability to know where to find the space, receive it, and progress it through midfield into the likes of Granit Xhaka and Martin Odegaard, or even Lacazette when he comes short. So what we're looking for, in my opinion, although this is where the video is probably going to take a little bit of a different twist, what I believe we're looking for is a player who can play this role, the Granit Xhaka role. Someone who, I can't see Thomas Partey, who just a year and a half ago we spent 45 million on him. I can't imagine Arteta looking to replace him and looking for an upgrade in this window. A, I think that's going to be very difficult to find, but B, why would he decide to move on from Partey so soon? I think it's more likely we're going for a player who could play in Xhaka's role, in this kind of left central mid role, who can get forward, link up with Martinelli and Tierney. Xhaka has been playing as more of a box-to-box since his return from injury, which has been interesting. So I think that's what we're looking for. But with some of the players we've been linked with, makes you wonder whether that's really what Arteta wants. Let's break it down. Starting with our first midfield option, Georginio Wijnaldum. Now, the links have really cooled since back in December, where we were really hearing that he was basically being made available on loan by PSG. Arsenal were one of the teams looking at him, maybe even a return to Liverpool's on the cards. There's a lot I like about Wijnaldum in this link. Let's just bullet point just quickly some of the things I love. Scores goals. I mean, that's really important. A midfielder who can score goals with his head, with both feet. He likes to make late runs into the box. Shown he can do that in the Premier League. Big tick there. Plays loads of different positions in midfield. Another big thing. Has shown he can play as one of a midfield three, can play as a number 10, can play as the lone holding midfielder. Klopp used him in a lot of different ways. And I like that. I think Arteta is trying to deploy this positional play, we play a system, a formation, but players can adjust to different roles or different areas across the pitch. Wijnaldum certainly fits the bill when it comes to that. He's a leader. We've seen that. Wears the armband for the Netherlands. And also the big thing, I mean, if I'm to add also that he's experienced and a Premier League winner and all that stuff, he's gettable. Whether he wants to come to Arsenal, I don't know. I think I've heard people at Sky Sports saying that he would want the move. He'd be happy for that move. But it would be more of a short-term option. And maybe that's not a bad thing for Arsenal if they're to really firm up their interest in key targets in the summer. PSG are looking to do that deal apparently. So who knows? Georginio Wijnaldum, I think, provides a great option for Arsenal. Dare I say, maybe my favourite on the list, and he's only my first one. But let's move into my second one, and that's Renato Sanchez. Now, he's been quite public, I think, or him and his agent have been quite public about the fact that Arsenal are one of the teams interested. I like him a lot because there are certain things that, I don't know if he's necessarily comparable to Wijnaldum, but let's say you'd use him in the same role. Very powerful ball carrier, very good on the ball, technically very gifted, looks after it, has been brilliant for Lille, won the title there, brilliant at the Euros with Portugal. But what I would sort of say with Renato Sanchez is, a bit like the Patrick Schick option I gave the other day, is Renato Sanchez, has he found his feet at Lille, and is that just the club and the system and the environment that works best for him? Because he was at Bayern Munich, where the signings don't go too wrong from them. Typically when they make a signing and they bring in young players, they tend to develop nicely. Look at Serge Gnabry, look at Leroy Sané. They tend to hit the ground running. You could even go to Benjamin Pavard. And it didn't work for Renato Sanchez at Bayern Munich. He ends up going on loan to Swansea, so he's got a little bit of Premier League experience. It didn't work there, but he's really found his feet at Lille and he's been superb. I've got to say that I really like him as an option. If I'm just to take you back to the tactical pad here, and let's get, where is he, Renato Sanchez into midfield and take Granit Xhaka out. This is where I think he's playing. In that role, left-sided central midfield, who can link. He's got that flair, he's got that drive. I could see exactly why he would be brilliant as that kind of almost third or fourth attacking option in that front 4 or 5 for Arsenal, who can create things. He's got a bit of flair, he's got some vision, who can attack space when it opens up. But when Arsenal need to drop back into a defensive shape, he can slot in alongside Thomas Partey, and that is a really rigid midfield too. You can't see a team's playing through that too easily. So I like Renato Sanchez a lot, another option. Now I'm going to go into a few others here where I think the role and what's maybe being asked of those midfielders slightly different. And I think this is where it gets interesting, because if anything, these two options are the most linked with the move to Arsenal. Let's start with, I was going to start with one, but actually, do you know what? Let's start with Ruben Neves. Again, Premier League proven, was wanted in summer. We know Arsenal really like him. He's done it for a few years in the Premier League. He can score goals. That's another big thing. He's shown that he's got good range on him. He knows how to find the back of the net from distance. He scored some important goals for Wolves as well. I'm hesitant on two things. Firstly, pace. I think he looks a little immobile in midfield. Is that fair? I don't know. Maybe that's harsh. Let me know in the comment section. Wolves fans, if you're watching this, tell us what you think of Ruben Neves. He's been brilliant this season for Wolves. They've really liked him. He's got a great partnership with Moutinho. And actually, Wolves have been a team that have been on the ball a lot more recently under, Oh, managers escaped my mind. Apologies. But since Nuno Espirito Santo left, they've been Bruno Lage. There we go. See, I do know my Wolves managers. Under Bruno Lage, they've been a lot more on the ball. You see what they did at Old Trafford only a couple of weeks ago. They were terrific, and he was key to that. Really elegant midfielder, really good on the ball. I do just wonder about his lack of pace a little bit, and I've got another little bit of hesitation. And again, I'm going to take it to the tactical pad to show you what I mean. Now, if we just take Renato Sanchez out, put Granit Xhaka back in, because realistically Arteta does want to play him when he's available, and we shuffle everyone back along into the positions we expect them to be in. Now, Ruben Neves, for me, is more likely to play this Partey role here. So if we just put Partey there on the subs bench and bring in Neves, that for me is the kind of position I think he would thrive in. I think I read a report saying that Neves is Arteta's Georginio. I mean, don't forget, we were linked to Georginio not too long ago. So he clearly wants another option in that area, another deep-lying playmaker who can start attacks, who can receive the ball off the back four or even the back three, really, because that's typically how we set up when we're on the ball. But I have hesitations about this, because what does that mean for Thomas Partey? Could Thomas Partey maybe, if we take Xhaka, move him to the subs bench and put Partey in there, could Partey maybe play as the left central midfielder, maybe as more of a box-to-box? We saw him do well there for Atletico Madrid. And I think in pre-season, when Lokonga first signed, it was actually Partey playing as that more box-to-box drifting left, with Lokonga as the deep-lying playmaker. Since they've had that run in the team, though, throughout the season, Partey has been the deeper, with Lokonga going forward. So I just wonder there whether maybe he sees Partey as more of a box-to-box option. I don't know. It would amaze me, though, that in sort of nearly 2 years of persisting with Partey, he's tried to use him as is Busquets, as is Georginio. It would surprise me if he decided that actually we'll bring in Neves and then free up Partey. He's not looked to do that really since he arrived at the club. I don't know, maybe, but maybe there's always an option we can explore. And I've got to say, I think that is the same for another option, and that is Douglas Luiz. Again, more of a defensive midfielder, Premier League proven, played something like 60 Premier League games for Aston Villa. I don't know if many players have played more games than him, actually, since they've arrived into the Premier League. This is their third season there now, and he's been a key to their midfield ever since they arrived. You know, he was part of the team that kept them up. He was a big part of the midfield alongside John McGinn, Ross Barkley, Jack Grealish, whoever it was last season where they're having a good year. He tends to play again at the base of a midfield three. So again, I'll refer you back to the tactical pad. Let's take out Neves and bring on Douglas Luiz. Again, I see him playing more at the base. That's what he's been doing for Villa. Though I just wonder whether he maybe does have slightly more attributes to play in this left-sided central midfield role. Maybe he's got a little bit more stamina. Maybe not stamina, not fair, but a little bit more mobility, a little bit more flair on the ball, a little bit more drive. Perhaps he could fill into that left central midfield role a little bit better. But then I've got to say, I've not seen him play that role for Villa. He's typically been at the base with McGinn, with now Jacob Ramsey either side of him, who are the legs, the energy, the flair, getting forward. And he's been the anchor man. So I don't know. Again, you see that the Douglas Luiz links and the Ruben Neves links are the more, let's say, the ones we're hearing more in the media. They're the more hotly tipped to actually join Arsenal. And it just makes you wonder whether that's the profile we need when a Wijnaldum, a Renato Sanchez are more the kind of midfielder I'd be looking to bring in. Same with Arthur. Again, the kind of midfielder I'd want to see at Arsenal. Bruno Guimaraes has proven he can play at the base, but he can play box-to-box as well. I don't know. I'd really be surprised if this is the style of midfielder Arsenal end up bringing in. But let's, having said all that, let's go into our final option. Not really linked, if anything linked more with moves to Man United and other teams, and that is Denis Zakaria. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm getting my pronunciation all over the place. But that's a bit of a comment section. You can let me know if I've butchered it. Now, again, a bit like the Jonathan David example the other day, this is the option I know the least about. What do I know just on paper? Defensive midfielder / box-to-box. Got plenty of power. He's tall, stands at 6'3", good on the ball. I'll add this. Doesn't start over Granit Xhaka for the Switzerland team. And I think he was behind Freuler as well. So he didn't start. I think he's only started the Euros was against Spain when Granit Xhaka wasn't available. So maybe that's some food for thought. Maybe it doesn't matter because he's young and he's only going to get better. I don't know. He looks a real powerful option for Arsenal, who can, unlike the other four I've mentioned, more naturally move between, in fact, again, let's show it here on the tactical pad, can maybe more naturally move between, you know, being that box-to-box who gets up and down, swapping with Partey and being at the anchor in case you want to play Xhaka or Lokonga alongside him, but also can be at the base when Arsenal need to tighten up and has that defensive awareness. Maybe he's the more complete option of the base, of the five I've mentioned. He can play at the base, he can go box to box, maybe a little bit more all action. I don't know. You let me know. What does he lack going forward? That's another question. I don't know if he's maybe more of a competitive midfielder, and I think Arsenal need to add a little bit of quality playing through the lines, not just relying on Odegaard in the front four to create things. I don't know if Zakaria could offer that. But you let me know in the comment section, guys. You know, that's the beauty of it. We'll read your suggestions, we'll discuss. And if there's anyone else I've missed, you let me know as well. And don't forget, here we are. I'm picking my 11 here on the tactical pad. You can pick your 11s at AFTV VIP. We're going to play Wolves in, what was it, a couple of weeks now. When that comes around, don't forget to go to the AFTV VIP app. That's at aftv.mobi. Scroll through the 11, pick the 11 you want to see that day, and then by then, hopefully, we'll have one, if not two. We need two players added to that roster of players in the app. You can go and pick your 11, let us know who would be starting for you against Wolves. If you enjoyed this video, smash a like, really appreciate it, always helps. Thanks for the comments as well. It's because of the comment section in the last video that we actually decided to make this one as well. We saw you guys really enjoyed it, so thank you so much for all the kind words. More suggestions needed. Robbie will probably discuss them on Transfer Daily, and we are closing in on deadline day where there's going to be lots of content coming out, not only on AFTV, but on DR Sports as well. I think it's going to be a busy day. I think it's going to be a busy few days. We've got a lot to cover. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you soon.